All right, ladies and gentlemen, back again. We're going to try to finish up. We got one more. We got this last page, next last page, and then last page. All right, so number 16. Now, this is going to be one of your constructive response questions, guys and ladies. So this is going to be a long one, but basically, if you just follow along, you'll be fine. All right, so remember to find the area of a triangle when we're just given the vertices or the points in the triangle, we can use this matrix. All right, so we're going to use the formula A equals, let me write it to the side, sorry. I don't want to kind of come over some with it, I'm sorry. We're going to say A equals 1/2, and then we're going to say A, B, 1, C, D, 1, and E, F, 1. A, B, C, D, and E, F represent the vertices, or the coordinates for the vertices. So for our problem, it's going to be 1/2, and then it's going to be 2, -3, 1, then 4, 5, 1, and then -2, 3, and 1. All right. So now, this part here, I'm going to kind of write down here, is what you want to set up in Desmos. You want to say 1/2, parentheses, 2, and then you want to do a double parentheses because Desmos is very literal. So you're going to say 5 times 1, because remember, we're going to do our determinant form. We're going to do our 3x3 determinant. So we say 5 times 1 minus 1 times 3. Then close our parentheses. Then we're going to say plus. Remember, the minus sign here changes to a plus. So whatever, if it's a minus sign, it changes to a plus for the middle number. If it's a plus sign, it changes to a minus sign. And then I get our double parentheses. And we got 4 times 1 minus 1 times -2. Close our parentheses, plus 1, and double parentheses again, 4 times 3 minus 5 times -2. All right? So from there, you can put all this in Desmos. For the sake of time, I'm not going to work it out. But you can put all this in Desmos, and you should wind up with 22 square units. All right, and that's our answer. All right, number 17, the formula we're going to use for this one is, for our inverse, we're going to do 1 over AD minus BC. And remember, we change our positions. D goes up here, the number for D goes up here, the number for A goes here. The sign for B changes, and the sign for C changes. All right? So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so we're going to say 1 over 8 times 5 minus 4 times 6. Now, if you do the quick mental math, you'll know that this is not going to be 0, so we're good, so it's not undefined. So let's go ahead and redo our matrix and get 5, -4, -6, and 8. Because remember, the 4 and 6 become negative because they were originally positive, and the 5 and 8 switch positions. All right? Well, when we performed the bottom operation, we wound up 1 over 16. And then we're now going to multiply that by 5, -4, -6, and 8. So we're going to multiply 1/16 by everything in the matrix. So we should wind up with positive 5 over 16. 1/16 times -4 is -1/4. -6 times 1 over 16 becomes -3 over 8. And then 1/16 times 8 is positive 1/2. All right, and that's our final answer. All right, for number 18. For number 18, let's look at our dimensions here first. So we know that this has 3 rows and 2 columns. Well, remember in class, I told you, we're only going to do the inverse for a 2x2. Technically, we could have done 3x3, but we're not required to teach it. so we're not going to go over it. But a 3 by 2, we cannot do the inverse for that matrix. So we would say no inverse exists or undefined. Or if you want to say not possible, that's also as well. So remember, if it's not a 2 by 2 for our purposes, you cannot find the inverse of it. All right? So let's move on to our second constructive response question. It says, Janie earns extra money by making cakes and pies and then selling them to a local bakery store. She has arranged to sell a total of 15 desserts to the owner of the bakery store each week. So let's underline 15. All right? Her profit on each cake is 20. We're going to underline that. And each pie is 10. Katie wants to know what combination of baked goods she make each week to make a profit of 230. So for the first question, what we're going to do is we're going to just set up two equations. The first equation we need to set up is we need to set up the total number of desserts. So we do that by saying that the X is going to represent our cakes and the Y is going to represent our pies. So remember, it said 15 desserts. So we're going to say X plus Y equals 15. Now, if you want to say Y plus X, I'm not going to trip. But technically, we're just going to go X and Y just because of alphabetical order. All right. Then the next thing we want to do is set up an equation talking about her money. So the first equation you'll do is the total number of desserts or items. The second one will be the total cost involved or total profit. So it says she makes $20 per cake. So we're going to say 20 times X because it's 20 per cake plus 10 Y because it says 10 per pie. She wants to make a total of $230. Now, I do want to tell you here, now you did not have to do the total desserts first. You could have did the total money first and then the total desserts. Either one, so as long as you had the X plus Y equals 15 and 20X plus 10Y equals 230. So that's the first part. So if we're going to go over to the second part in just a moment. So bear with me. We've got to finish up 19B and then 20, and we'll be done. Thank you for your attention.